commentator, moderator. Take over.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Ming Lee. I'm the board director of SBCDBA. I was the president of 2 years ago, and this is our 6th Smart City event. Okay, thank you for coming, and I'm honored to be the moderator for the IoT and AI to Smart City. In this panel, we have 5 experts. Okay, first one is Kirk Oatman. He is the CEO of the I'm in Control, and he will give 3 to 5 minutes his presentation. And the next one is Dr. Shiva. He's a professor of UC Santa Clara and IoT expert. The third one is Dr. Zhou Jun. Dr. Zhou, hi. Okay. He's an AI IoT expert. And the next one is Peter Wang. Peter Wang is the chair of the Minority Association, Business Association. Also is an investor in IoT space. And the next one is Dr. Yu. Dr. Yu is the CEO of Bamboo Innovation Center. His specialty is in the power. Okay, he will talk about AI in power. Okay. So let's start with Kirk. Okay, Kirk, you introduce yourself and give your story of your business. Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon. If you don't fall asleep after lunch. Let's see. So we're here because we're a part of the smart city and the energy ecosystem that people don't really know much about. We focus on small and mid-sized commercial buildings, reducing costs. We use AI, we use IoT, we use big data, all the buzzwords that we're really focusing on here at this meeting today. The thing is, in the US, there are 300 large buildings throughout the country, but there are 5 million smaller buildings. And those buildings are not focused on for products or for people paying attention to them. We as a company are focusing on 3 million of them. They tend to be older, they tend to be less fancy buildings, and they're under 100,000 square feet, but those buildings have exactly the same problems that the larger buildings do. So I'm going to go pretty quickly here because we're short on time, but the fact is these buildings are very different from the large buildings. They don't have any control in them. There's no engineer sitting in the building all the time. Nobody cares about them. Quite frankly, nobody wants to pay attention to them until they have to. And they're much smaller. They don't spend nearly as much on energy, so it's harder to pay attention to them. Thus, the products that are designed for the large buildings just don't even work for the smaller ones. So I'm not going to go into this slide, but the fact is California has imperatives in the regulation for reducing energy usage. The US has imperatives. The city of San Jose has Climate San Jose that they have put into regulation. They are forcing buildings to report. First the buildings over 50,000 square feet, then the buildings over 20,000 square feet. But San Jose, look out, because New York City already has requirements, not just for reporting, but for reducing, and higher requirements for the city buildings. So throughout the US and right here in San Jose, there is an absolute necessity to reduce energy usage. So very quickly what we do, we install standard IoT hardware, we have a controller, a secure wireless system, we install sensors, motion sensors, switches, and so forth like that. One of the unique things that ties into the smart city discussion is that we monitor hundreds of circuits in a building at 15 to 30-second intervals, producing what you'll see in a minute, a huge amount of data. Now, of course, our system talks to you remotely. It talks to systems in the cloud. It talks to PG&E and so forth. But we're a software company. So that IoT hardware down there goes through a layer of ours that knows how to talk to it. It goes through, and literally in a building like this, you'll have 1 million data points a day for that small building. Now you're starting to see why we're talking about the city, not just the building. And then we do a whole bunch of services that are very specific to these smaller buildings, certainly optimized control. We use machine learning to do this in a very intelligent and flexible manner. We work through partners, and I'll talk about the connections into the grid in a minute. So examples right here in San Jose, one of the medical services building for Santa Clara. When we installed the next week, we were doing 15% less energy for the building. We found another 20% that they could reduce in the building. The police training center in Morgan Hill, we've had similar numbers. I can't tell you the numbers. The Morgan Hill council chambers, there's 22% cost reduction right off the board. The school, 10 to 30% reduction every month. So the thing is, what you hear about energy efficiency, it is possible to do, but you have to have the right tool for the right nail. So we can't sell something to a customer if there's no value to the customer. You know, woo-woo, good societal results are not going to sell a product for us. So the customers themselves get 20 to 30% cost savings with a payback in under 2 years through reduced energy costs. The people are more comfortable in the buildings in actuality, and maintenance is much increased. But for the grid, the city, and the society, yep, we're reducing CO2 significantly by that same percentage, right? We're interacting with the smart grid. We're letting them tell us when to reduce usage. We're giving them huge amounts of data in the building so that they can better predict what's going on in the grid, and the amount of data that we can exchange with the cities as they get more intelligent, as they care more about how many people are in our building and when they come in, the more useful that discussion is, that data discussion, we'll say. So I didn't want to take much time. That's who we are. If you're on WeChat, there's our WeChat sign, and I think there are questions later on. Thank you very much.
And on the low? No? Okay, that's Dr. Shiva.
Yeah, thank you for the kind introduction, Ming. So my name is Shivakumar, like Ming mentioned. I've got 2 roles. I'm the adjunct professor at Santa Clara University, and also I'm a founder of a company called Due Mobility. We are based in Fremont. So my role is to teach IoT at the university for the graduate level. And the second role is to take this, whatever we teach at the university on research, on the building the product, you know. So by virtue of my journey in IoT, I have been focusing on IoT. By this journey, we built 3 products for the 3 cities. One was the waste management, street lights, another one was the environmental monitoring. Those of you who are there in my keynote, I covered some examples there. So moving forward, what we want to do here is take these prototypes and build some kind of a production model, like earlier Kirk mentioned that, you know, how do we take it to a larger extent and take this data and make some kind of a machine learning, or AI. I think that's a topic about this, machine learning, how we can do it in IoT. So the second responsibility is that those of you who don't know about how many of you know about the NIST GCTC challenge? Anyone here? Alright, so NIST is the National Institute of Standards and Technologies. They have this concept called Global City Team Challenge. So what it means is it consists of cities, enterprise, and the university. You know, anybody can be part of that GCTC cluster. And then they have 2 events in a year. One normally it will be in February, and another one will be in summer. So we are going to have it in July. We couldn't have it in February because of this government shutdown. So now, we got it set right there. So we're going to meet there. So the objective of the Global City Team Challenge is that all the, close to about 80 cities, they participate in that and demonstrate their product, starting from, the smart waste management, street lights, and then the environmental monitoring. So now the new things what is happening for last 1 year in terms of connectivity, I would just want to spend 1 minute on that, is that initially we used to depend heavily on the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth or Zigbee for a local thing, now on the LTE of course. So now for last 6 months I've seen a tremendous growth on the LoRa, which is a low range connectivity, and the Sigfox, which is nothing but a dish, which is nothing but a mesh networking among the cities. So we are doing some research on that. We should produce some result in the next IEEE conference. If those are interested, I'll be happy to share that. So in terms of AI, we just started the course in Santa Clara University. We are going to launch a new course in fall 2019, which is basically a combination of IoT and AI. So based on my experience, AI is coming up. Now they're saying that devices are already there, IoT is there, you don't have to worry about the devices. It has been there for last 20-25 years, right? Embedded electronics is there for so many decades. Now how do we take that data to the cloud and make some machine learning or artificial intelligence? So I have some pointers. I'm looking forward to hear from the moderator, as well as if any questions is there, I'll be happy to share my experience, what we have been doing on the AI and the IoT there. Thank you.
So Dr. Zhou Jun is for the AI and the IoT.
So hi, good afternoon everyone. Even though I do not have a slide, but I prefer to stand and speak. My name is Jun Zhou. I have been in the IoT and AI industry for over 15 years. My most recent role was at a Chinese AIoT company. It's a public company in China, and the market cap is about $1 billion US. It's quite a big size, but it's still a medium-sized company. But the company is very focused on the AI and IoT. We are leading the IoT space in terms of the communication modules and the IoT cloud, and also the AI applications. So before that, I was a tech lead for Cisco's IoT group. So I have been in this industry for a while, and I want to share a few points about the AI and IoT. So basically, we know that IoT is still a buzzword in the tech industry, also in the investment world, and also the AI. And we can see that the IoT and AI has been there for many years with big investments. I think one of the key events here in the Valley was that Google acquired what's the name of the company? The Storosnet. Nest. Yes, that was one of the biggest events that happened in the industry, and that was, I think, about 4 years ago. That was the kicking off of the investment, and also a lot of startups afterwards. However, I would like to see IoT unknown is in a wrong word that people are doing business, but it's not as hot as we thought before. We can see from the numbers in terms of the economic spending, and also the purchase power of the big companies in this field. For example, I will say a few numbers. For example, in the beginning of last year, the major telcos, including the telcos in China, has predicted for the hundreds or tens of millions of devices to be connected to their network. I mean, each individual telco's cellular or communication network, but it didn't happen last year. And in addition to that, the IoT business is still in a stage where people are trying to connect the data from the device. However, how to monetize all the devices is still a question mark. I would say that up to like 20 years ago, people were asking what's the killer app for the internet. So in the IoT industry, what's the killer app for the IoT is still a question. Another one is that, however, I would say that IoT is still very promising field because we can see that in the future, the devices and all the physical world will be connected to the internet. And then once that happens, it will create a network effect where people will make use of those connected world, and then there's the business model, and there will be many killer apps. For example, we can say that my experience, I interact with the smart home manufacturers in China and also here in the States. I would say that all the predictions we had before were not quite there yet. Because we can see on the one number, so all the connected devices shipped in the smart home space, only 20% are even connected to the internet. You can see that consumers are buying the smart devices, but they're not even using it. They already bought it, but they didn't use it at all. Only 20%. However, in some fields, we can say that, for example, for the smart energy, just one panelist just said. So we can see that the smart energy is where that maybe one of those spaces or industries that goes before some other industries that we have predicted. For example, there's a startup called the United, which was acquired by Shivakumar. So they are providing the smart energy or smart building solutions, and we can say that they're making money. And also, I know even much smaller startup, they were partnered with San Francisco Airport and Stanford University to make their building smarter in order to save energy and save cost. So we can say that it's a mixed business field in IoT alone. However, IoT is a fuel for the AI, in my opinion. Because without IoT, I think that we are missing a big chunk of the world. So IoT is giving us all the sensing data and information from the physical world and combine them to the people world. So that the AI, the data, right, the learning data will have more information. So that's where we can see that combining the physical world and the people world, that's where the AI and IoT can make a big difference in the future. And then, only when we have those information ready, and then AI can really leverage this data and have more smart and intelligent applications over there. Thank you.
Next one is Peter Wang. Porter Wang will talk about his view on the AI to IoT.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me see. Let me get this website going first. I don't have any slides today. Okay. Okay. So again, okay. My name is Porter Wang. So I'm actually working with the Department of Commerce and AloT Business Development Agency. I'm also working with the State of California Small Business Technical Assistance Program to assist small business to grow. And I myself actually coming from a tech background. I worked for a few tech startups before, and now I'm actually spending most of the time helping out tech startups. So I'm a mentor in residence with Moderator Ventures, US National Lab, and UC Venture. So I just wanted to thank for Dr. Zhao give us a good overview of IoT and AI. So what I want to do is just pull up a website of one of my portfolio company that they use the IoT and AI space. So what Sweep does is basically in the energy monitoring and also equipment predictive maintenance. So what they do is they have a small IoT device for a totally non-intrusive solution. You can almost like place the IoT device anywhere as long as close to where you want to measure the energy usage or you want to find out any problem with the device. So it will capture the energy signature of any equipment that's run on AC. And then based on that, it sends the data to the cloud. And then from there, it will do machine learning. And then we'll basically sending out other signals and whatnot to tell you, to basically pinpoint any problem you might see with your equipment. So it can be anything. As long as we run on AC as a motor. So and it's especially useful for manufacturers and also to try to solve some obscure problem. So one of the customers they have is a farm down in close to Mexico in San Diego. So for a farm, they have all these water pumps, and then so they have certain set time and when the pump needs to be on and the water flow and all those things. And all of a sudden they find out randomly sometimes the pump doesn't work or the water level is not correct. So they hire electrical people, whatever, go there, sit there, and try to figure out what's wrong. Of course, it's not going to work because that is something happen. It doesn't really have a fixed pattern, right? So what they do is they install the device, and then so because it's a 24/7, right? So they capture the data, they do the data analysis, and then finally they find out it's a problem with the utilities. Because at a certain time of day, especially let's say hot day or whatever, all the equipment turn on, and then the grid actually not able to supply enough energy to that particular area. So by doing that, they talk the data and then actually go talk to utility, and the utility end up actually upgrading the system, and then the problem solved. So the slide here is just basically, they map the the device that they install. It's basically geomap, so we can pinpoint exactly where the device is. And also with this little bubble, it tells you how many devices if you choose on, it tells you exactly which equipment. Okay, so that's all I have. So it's a good case of IoT and CI application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gordon. Next one, Dr. Yu. Dr. Yu is a specialist in power.
Good afternoon, and I'm very excited to come to here to have a chance to discuss with you and a very exciting opportunity in China because this is the Smart City Conference and sponsored mainly by the Silicon Valley Chinese Technology and Business Association. And I personally involved in several ways. One is that I have a innovation center in a city called Bangpu, which is midway between Shanghai and Beijing. 2 hours high-speed train from Shanghai, 2 hours high-speed train from Beijing. And so this innovation center has about 40 acres of land right in the center of the city. And so it would include, it's sort of like a small conventional center, includes the office building, incubators, the hotels, restaurants, recreation areas, and so on. And it was a investment by the city government of $5 million, so to renovate originally a technical school. And so we have already now 10 tenants in there. So the reason I say it's a great opportunity because we have seen two interesting trends. The first one is that many of you probably have seen presentations by Dr. Kai-Fu Lee, who was the chief technologist for AI at Apple. And now he's a major investor of AI companies worldwide. And he has written also several books in addition to his presentation that AI is advancing rapidly in China, much more so than the US. On the other hand, the power system in the cities are really run by centralized companies rather than like in the US. We are now moving into so-called distributed system and decentralized. So this was presenting a very interesting opportunity. That is, we would need the AI to be able to convert the city into a smart city. And that requires a lot of distributed systems. And so China has that ability, but it does not have the power energy technology. For example, earlier Mr. Oatman presented this energy saving technology for buildings. That will be very useful. In fact, for our innovation center, we are going to turn this innovation center into a smart innovation center with its own power system, in addition to the power system by the state grid. So it will be also a innovation or energy system over there. So as I see, there's a wonderful opportunity that we can utilize Chinese advances in AI and US's advances in distributed system, which China does not have those technology yet. So for those of you that are interested in this kind of opportunity, particularly the innovation center that we have founded, then I really like to talk with you to see whether we can explore these opportunities. Then some of those we can also transfer to the US as well. Thank you very much.
Introduction. Okay, now we have 10 minutes Q&A. Anyone has a question, you can raise. We'll see which panelist can answer. Okay. So any questions? Start. Okay. 6 years ago, when we started our association Smart City, then we have IoT session. That time, industry predict by 2020 there will be 20 billion connected devices. Okay, that was 6 years ago. They predicted. Now with the AI, emerging AI technology, then the industry predict by 2025 will be 50 billion devices interconnected from M2M, machine to machine, also a consumer. Okay, another question?
Effective, and also which one is probably the cheaper ones too? And I know it's a very difficult question to answer, but if I can get you guys' opinion on just cost versus ROI and what you've seen, because I mean we could do everything, VR, IoT, AI, but we actually can't do everything all at the same time. So you want the stuff that are the low-hanging fruits, and what are those low-hanging fruits?
Okay, so I can give you two examples. One is that the Olympic Games will be coming to Los Angeles in 6 years, and I know that the city of Los Angeles was looking to have a smart city project, and one of the major ones is for the lighting, because that will save a lot of energy, and also that will be improve the lighting for the entire city. So for the same thing in Beijing is the city of Beijing spent about over $1 billion just for the energy cost for the entire city's lighting on the street. So that's where there will be a lot of opportunities for these areas for the cost saving. So basically the two major, I would say, benefits for the IoT, for the connected world, one is to reduce the cost by operating the things or the business more efficiently, and the smart lighting and smart city around them. Another one is to increase have a better user experience. For example, the smart home is one of them. So I think in the smart city, the first way will be the cost saving, because that's easier to justify. This is money I invest, and I can save this much, and I can see that my ROI will be more predictable in near term.
Can I add one thing? Actually, no, I had an opportunity to work with one of the companies where they make preventive maintenance based on the data. The AI, one thing we all should know, that at least I'm experiencing, is it's based on the sensor data, because sensor data part very, very important role. Like one of the speakers, they said that IoT is definitely evolving. So one project which I had experienced is the one company who makes the preventive maintenance for the rail track, right? So whenever this rail track is there, they want to monitor failure rates, So what they've done is they've installed the sensors all over the train, and then monitor the health of the track. Okay, how's that health of the track, and then they monitor that. It's not a less expensive proposition, it's a costly proposition, but it's a very important role in the rail department, right? They will know that maintenance that. Now going back to your second questions, how the ROI and how we can do that. At the university level, there are a lot of open source clouds available there. For example, a university called National University of Ireland, they're based in Ireland, is a part of European Commissions. They have built a nice platform. You can use that platform free of charge. You don't have to pay. As long as you don't make the money out of it, you don't have to pay. You get all those nuts and bolts from that cloud, and you can build an AI, put your sensor data and get that. You may explore that possibilities. It's called National University of Ireland. They have open IoT cloud platform.
I would like to add about the low-hanging fruit, which I believe really is the smart grid. Right now, this is getting very, very widespread in the US, and I think China also is doing that for two reasons. One is they are into solar energy. As everybody knows, China is the largest supplier of the solar panels in the world. Secondly, that China is a signatory for the environmental protection for reducing CO2. So both of these are positive forces to moving into the smart grid, which they lack the technology basis. So like Mr. Oatman's technology can be put into the smart grid using AI and IoT for the energy control. I think that's the exciting opportunities I was talking about. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just echo that the programs at a city or a government entity level are great challenges, as you heard from the mayors this morning, to get acceptance and get implemented. When you bring it down to individual people, buildings, and an incentive for a company, you can then actually get things installed. And that's why I was emphasizing, for example, 2-year payback for our system, which then just happens almost by accident to be able to add value for the grid.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, if... Go ahead.
To make these companies successful, startups, the technologies have to be monetized. What sort of low-hanging fruit do you have for monetizing this? Are there specific sectors where this will be monetized more easily than others? And have you seen any early successes? I think one of the issues with IoT has been, there was a lot of investment that went in, but the revenues are not there yet for these solutions. So where will this happen earlier, and if there's any characteristics of markets where this is more feasible? Any thoughts on that?
I think Mr. Oatman has already said that that's a 2-year payback for commercial buildings, which is a very high ROI. So I think there are already many examples that we can do energy control with much high return.
Yeah, I can share my experience. Actually, industrial IoT is the one yielding the revenue. I've not seen any that kind of a revenue movement, but if you go to any industry, if they want to have a preventive maintenance, I see some revenue coming up from that revenue, but a lot of investment in terms of development also, because they're all legacy sensors, legacy actuators, So I'm seeing that trend will come here.
The only thing I would add is on the other side of what they're talking about, our success, there is hope now. There are a lot of companies out there with frameworks for IoT, machine learning for IoT. These are generic tools. Over the next year, 2, 3, there are going to be very exciting implementations, like he was talking about, of those generic tools into specific problem solutions. And then I think we're going to see more replicable paybacks for larger scale projects. Does that make sense? I'm getting nods. Good.
Okay, I think we're running behind. We end this session. Okay, thank you for all these 5 panelists. Thank you.